Today's tutorial is on the gathering foot. The gathering foot is a high shank foot that we can attach to our commercial machine to make gathering easier. Here's an example of a piece of fabric gathered with the gathering foot. The gathering foot will speed up the process of creating a gather. To complete this tutorial, you're going to need 3 pieces of fabric of your choice and preferably lighter fabrics. You can cut them 10 by 30 centimeters or whatever length you prefer. So this is the gathering foot. We install the presser foot exactly the same as any other presser feet. If you need help with this, just refer to the tutorial on installing presser feet. The amount of gather we want to create is controlled by the stitch length regulator. And this is best shown on light fabric, but of course you'll be using any type of fabric you prefer. If we want a tighter gather, we increase the length, so we turn this knob to the left. If we want a looser gather, we turn the knob to the right. There is no correct setting for this. This is trial and error and dependent on the fabric type. Before you sew your garment, you need to adjust the amount of gather depending on the fabric type. So you need to create samples. So let's begin with one piece of fabric. Start by stitching a straight line. I've left this on stitch length 2.5, which is 20/5, just to see what will happen with this lighter organza fabric. This has created a nice light gather. For our second sample, let's change the stitch length to 5 and see what happens. Just present the fabric under your presser foot as normal, and we're just going to sew. As you can see, the longest stitch length creates a tighter gather. Now let's look at our 2 samples side by side. Our first sample, where we've created a 20/5, which is 20 stitches over 5 centimeters, has a standard amount of gather, and then we've increased the stitch length to create a tighter gather. So let's see what happens when we decrease the stitch length. As you can tell, the amount of gather is only slight. It's equivalent to just an amount of ease, a very light gather on our fabric. So depending on the fabric you choose to create these samples on, you'll get different effects. When you go to pattern a garment, you'll need to use some sample fabric and adjust different stitch lengths to get the right amount of gather for you and your garment design. Once you know the setting, it's a good idea to record that on your spec sheet in the construction information section. If you're creating a one-off garment and your gather isn't quite enough, you can put your finger behind the presser foot to help bunch up the fabric and create more of a gather. An alternate way of increasing the gather slightly would be in a similar way to a home sewing method of gathering. You would just pull the thread from either end on the same side of the fabric. What this means is you would just pull the upper thread and create more of a tension to increase the gathering amount.